Hey, welcome back, everybody. Happy Tuesday it is. Hope we're having a wonderful start to our week, and we've got a lot going on out there. We still got some icing potential in some places, some snow in others, and a big time warm up on the way for just about everybody, as well as the potential for another winter storm here going into this coming weekend. And I'll break all that down for you in today's video. Now, if you haven't already subscribed, definitely consider doing so. Again, we're trying to get to 10,000 here, and we're about 75% of the way there. So again, we've had incredible growth over the past couple of months, and I'd love to get there if we can by the end of this winter, and I really think that's something we'll be able to do. So if you haven't already subscribed, again, definitely consider doing that. Also, like the video, comment, let me know where you're watching from, and let me know what you're seeing out where you are, and consider sharing the video with somebody that you think might find some use in it, as again, this is some pretty impactful weather for a lot of folks here through much of the country. Now, with that said, let's go ahead and jump right on into your forecast because it is very early this morning and I've got places to be, and I'm sure that you all have a very busy life as well, so I don't want to hold you up too long today. Now I'll start off here with satellite imagery, and you'll notice again we've got a couple very active pieces of energy here that we're watching. Just to kind of highlight a couple of them here on our map, we've got one area of low pressure kind of over the St. Louis area, that continuing to slowly work off towards the north and east. That's what brought so much ice yesterday, and is continuing to bring some ice for some areas. Then we have also just this continuation of this trough down out west, specifically into the Four Corners region, and as I mentioned, that is going to allow for waves of low pressure to just kind of slowly ride along it and into this divergent side of the trough. And we're going to have a very rainy week as well as a very warm week thanks to that that trough here bringing flow out of the south, and this high pressure now off the Atlantic seaboard also bringing winds out of the south. So not everyone's going to warm up a lot today, but what I will mention is over the next couple of days, everyone will definitely slowly but surely warm up. Again, it might take a couple days, but don't worry. By the time we get into the Thursday, Friday timeframe of this week, I think a lot of folks are going to be well above average, maybe 10 to 20 degrees above what they should be this time of year. Now taking a look at radar imagery as well as our watches, warnings, advisories. Again, kind of where the bulk of precipitation is up here into the Ohio River Valley, specifically the northern Ohio River Valley, where we're still seeing some ice and snow this morning, while south of there, really kind of south of this line here, we're seeing some just good old-fashioned rain. Even as far south and east as the Carolinas, seeing some rain this morning, back through Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and then back into Texas. And we're also seeing some active weather out west, especially in the Four Corners. Again, we're seeing some rain that way, as well as some mountain snow, and also back into the PNW, seeing some mountain snow and some valley and coastal rain. And don't worry, if you're a fan of active weather out west, another round of precipitation on the way here by the time we get into tomorrow. Now, as for our advisories on the map here, again, up here in the pink are the winter weather advisories. It's going to be quite a wintry day for much of the northern tier of the country here, from sections of Kansas and Iowa all the way over through Albany, New York, really the entire state of Vermont, even parts of Massachusetts and Connecticut, and extreme northern New Jersey. They're getting in on some of those winter weather advisories for some of that wintry precipitation that is on the way. Now, further to the south of there, we have some flooding concerns indicated by these green boxes, specifically the dark green boxes. Those are going to be your flood watches and your flash flood watches as well, but mainly flood watches through here for all the rain we're going to see over the next couple of days. And in kind of the light green boxes, those are just hydrologic outlooks stating, hey, we're going to see some rain this week, just watch those river levels. All right, and then I will also mention all these gray boxes you see in the central part of the country. Those are dense fog advisories for some fog we're seeing out there this morning, but potentially by the time you're watching this, depending on whenever you do, those will probably already be out of here as the sun kind of rises and gets going. All right, we're going to start out east here, where we're seeing kind of the immediate threat, if you will, from some of this wintry weather, and we'll time this out through the next 48 hours or so, and then we'll take a look at the west coast as well. Now, again, this morning, where we're seeing most of the wintry precipitation, as I mentioned, is going to be right here into the northern Ohio River Valley through sections of central Michigan, down into southern Wisconsin, even into southern Iowa, seeing some of that snow and ice. And also, just so you know, to mention, time is at the top right here. This is in Eastern time. And then your kind of color code here is also on the right-hand side. Snow in the blue, sleet is in the purple, and freezing rain is in the pink. Now, as I move this out through this afternoon, this is getting into about noon, 1 o'clock. Snow now breaking out through southern New York State and extreme northern Pennsylvania, through the heart of Michigan, southern Wisconsin, and back into Iowa. And south of there, we're all rain through Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, and we're even seeing some heavy rain now back down towards Texas, Arkansas, and Louisiana by the time we're getting into this afternoon. Now, moving this ahead, by the time the sun's going down tonight, we've got kind of two main pieces of energy here. We've still got this, kind of snowier event up here through New York State, back through Ontario as well, seeing some snow into northern Michigan, rain to the south of there. And then we've got kind of a bigger cluster of rain and even thunderstorms this afternoon and evening, where we could even see a couple severe storms. Not out of the question here along the Texas Gulf Coast as this kind of, again, clustering of precipitation moves on through overnight tonight. And by the time we're getting later on into tonight, and by the time we're getting early tomorrow morning, again, it's about 4 a.m. Eastern time, we've still got snow falling in the northeast here through Boston, Hartford, and into sections of Rhode Island and Connecticut, back up through New Hampshire, Vermont, upstate New York, seeing some snow, I think, overnight tonight. And here comes our next storm system, now already bringing another round of rain from the Texas Gulf Coast up through Missouri, Illinois, and down into Indiana, and then through the Mississippi River Valley from Paducah down through Memphis, Vicksburg, and even into much of Louisiana, seeing some rain here overnight tonight going into tomorrow morning, and also still watching for the threat of maybe a couple strong severe storms here on the southern end of this, where we have enough instability overnight tonight, could lead to a couple strong storms, and cannot rule out a brief isolated tornado. Now, getting into Wednesday afternoon, again, another kind of round of rain through the Ohio River Valley, but kind of the thing we're going to be a little more concerned about here come Wednesday afternoon is this line of storms. Again, you'll notice here we've got a pretty feisty line here from Alabama down through Mississippi into Louisiana, and we've got some warm air advection here ahead of this. So we'll definitely have to watch for some strong storms here through much of Wednesday afternoon through Louisiana, down through Mississippi and Alabama, as well as that kind of rolls on through here. And eventually that slowly works eastbound, bringing that heavy rain overnight Wednesday into our Thursday through much of the southern half of the country. And at that same time frame, we're going to have to watch up north, because kind of watch this going into Wednesday afternoon and into Wednesday evening. We could have another round of ice here, specifically, I think, into Ontario. Upstate New York could see some ice out of this, the higher elevations of Vermont, New Hampshire. And that continues into overnight Wednesday. And again, this is getting about midnight between Wednesday and Thursday. More rounds of ice there right along the Canadian and U.S. border, and even into parts of the United States. So we'll have to watch that. And again, it could be very active middle of the week. We could have severe weather in the Gulf states and icing continuing up into the northern half of the country. All right, taking a look at some snowfall here over the next 48 hours through the Midwest. Again, another couple of inches, specifically here into portions of central Michigan, where we could still see 1 to 3 inches of snow, closer to about an inch or a dusting to an inch here through central Iowa and up into southern Wisconsin, where a little bit less snowfall is likely to occur. Icing potential here, not too much more to go here, but definitely still a glaze to 1/10 of an inch here through much of this part of the country, specifically here into southern Michigan, northern Indiana, and extreme northwestern Ohio. About 1/10 of an inch of ice, not out of the question. And again, that's going to be added on top of whatever ice we've already seen. Now, the good news is, again, that warm air not far behind. We should warm up back above freezing by the time we get into this afternoon and tomorrow. So that's kind of the tad bit of good news here, but still definitely make sure you're being careful on those roadways, and make sure to also kind of take any warning from local officials on some areas that might be a little worse than others. Okay, snowfall in the northeast, not too much more, but a dusting to 1.5 inches or even up to 2 inches, not out of the question here through much of New York, Vermont, Massachusetts, even down into Connecticut, Rhode Island, and up into Vermont and New Hampshire. And same story here for sections of southern Canada. I could also still see another quick inch or two of snow throughout the next couple of days. Now, icing over this area, this is including ice that we will see today, as well as that second round of ice I showed you for our overnight Wednesday and into Thursday. Again, isolated spots could get upwards of 1/10 of an inch of ice here, which is more than enough to cause some problems here on the roadways. Even a couple of isolated power outages not out of the question there. And same story through much of the Northeast. A lot of places getting at least a glaze of ice, but isolated spots upwards of 1/10 of an inch, specifically here kind of in this corridor into northern Pennsylvania. So again, as I said earlier, just make sure you're being careful on those roadways. If you don't have to travel, or if school is canceled, or anything along those lines, definitely don't go out there. But if school's not canceled and local officials say it's okay, then definitely do it. But just be careful out there, because again, there's a lot of places that you might not think are icy, and then you hit them, and it's too late to realize before you're already losing control of your vehicle. And I know yesterday we saw some pretty insane footage out of a fire truck. I think in Oklahoma or Arkansas, I want to say. I was out there doing donuts down the hill thanks to that ice. So again, it's not just you that you're putting in danger whenever you kind of make these decisions to go out in the ice. You're also putting first responders in danger. So again, just kind of think about everybody whenever you're making your decisions during active weather. Okay, let's talk out west now. Again, another place that is seeing some active weather, although a little more calm, a little less icy out here. And we're also in a little bit of a lull today. So at least compared to yesterday and compared to what we're going to see tomorrow, lesser precipitation amounts today out west, specifically in California, but still seeing some rain and snow showers depending on elevation here through the Four Corners, as well as up into the Pacific Northwest through Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. And that continues throughout tonight. And by the time we're getting into this evening here, you'll notice much drier conditions outside of higher elevation snowfall and some scattered rain showers. Again, especially down here into Arizona and New Mexico, where we've got a little bit more lift in the atmosphere. But don't worry, for all of you rain lovers, here we go into our overnight tonight and into early tomorrow morning, another round of precipitation and another storm system lashing the coast here with a very heavy rainfall and very heavy mountain snow throughout the day Wednesday here, into Wednesday morning here, into Wednesday afternoon. More rounds of precipitation roll on through the west coast, and that continues here throughout even overnight Wednesday and late. This is about midnight between Wednesday and Thursday here. Again, just widespread mountain snow with coastal rain and valley rain as well. So very active period out west, just like we're seeing in the east. And taking a look at some of these snowfall totals. Again, this map might be a little messy, but you can always go to weather.gov, click on your exact location for a better idea on your elevation and exactly how much snow you're going to see. But just know, again, most of the snow that's going to fall up here into the higher terrains of the Rockies from Washington all the way down through California, and then also the higher peaks really everywhere else in the Rockies, also here from Idaho, Montana, all the way down through Arizona and New Mexico. Again, likely to pick up at least a couple of inches, some places more than that, maybe half a foot to a foot of snow on those highest peaks. All right, now let's kind of move this ahead a little bit and talk about the rest of this week, and then we'll talk about severe weather chances and as well as some flooding chances, and then we'll briefly discuss the chance for another winter storm here on the back side of things. Now, picking up where we left off, again, this is going into, I think we were at Wednesday overnight into Thursday. Yeah, and here we go. As I mentioned, it's still raining in the east. Here we go. Another round of precipitation moving on through, bringing plenty of rain with it, as well as some thunderstorms there down near the Gulf. That round continues moving on through. This is Thursday afternoon. Raining again, really for much of the country here east of the Mississippi. And it won't necessarily be a washout for everyone. A lot of people are going to just see scattered rain, but some people will see more prolonged periods of rain out of this. And that continues here into our Friday afternoon. A little bit of a lull up north, but more rain down into the southeast as we get kind of a resurgence here of precipitation. And by the time we get into this weekend, another storm system. This is Saturday afternoon. This one looks a little more robust, and also this one looks to have maybe a little bit more cold air up to the north. So this is the one we'll be watching for a return towards the wintry side of things here. Again, I think going from this coming Saturday through Sunday and into the following Monday, could see some wintry weather out of that storm system. All right, severe weather-wise, today we do have a marginal risk along kind of southern Texas and through the Gulf Coast region. Again, any marginal risk you see over the next 3 days, main threats will be strong damaging winds and an isolated brief tornado not out of the question. Today, again, from Houston back towards Austin and San Antonio. Tomorrow, once again, Houston, now through New Orleans, down through Biloxi, and even into the Jackson area of Mississippi tomorrow. And by the time we're getting into Thursday would be day 3. Now we're shifting that threat on over towards coastal Louisiana, specifically kind of on down into, if I can think of directions here, the eastern half of coastal Louisiana, and then down through southern Mississippi, coastal Alabama, and the western section of the Florida Panhandle there. So again, Biloxi, Mobile, back over towards Pensacola, and into New Orleans, likely going to be the big trouble spots come our Thursday afternoon. All right, total rainfall. Again, this is something I'm concerned about. Isolated spots still under the gun for potentially half a foot of rainfall here through Louisiana, Mississippi, into Alabama, and even into the southern and western Appalachia chain here from North Georgia down through western South Carolina and North Carolina. A lot of rain on the way. And because of that, we do have an excessive rainfall threat. Today, we have a moderate threat of excessive rainfall or flooding to occur here through southwestern Arkansas, through northwestern Louisiana, and eastern Texas. They're kind of in the Texarkana ballpark area, so definitely make sure you have a way to get warnings this afternoon. We've already got the severe weather threat for some parts of the country here, as well as the flash flooding threat. So kind of a double punch here, and that's not even including the ice we're seeing up north. Now tomorrow, that flash flooding threat shifts just a little bit east now into Jackson, Mississippi, into much of Louisiana, Nashville, Birmingham, Little Rock, back down towards Houston under the gun for some flooding here for our Wednesday afternoon. And Thursday, not going to be much better as that threat again is continuing, although a little bit further east and maybe a little bit lower. But honestly, by the time we get here to Thursday, this threat will probably get bumped up a little bit. But cities like Greenville, Spartanburg, Atlanta, Birmingham, Jackson, Montgomery, Knoxville, Asheville, and kind of surrounding areas under the gun for flooding once again here for our Thursday afternoon here. All right, now one more thing I will have to pull up here on the fly because, to be honest with you, I forgot to, so we're going to do this very quickly. But temperatures here, again, it's getting a little bit warmer here for many folks, especially kind of in the eastern half of the country, and those of us that aren't dealing with any ice or anything. And this afternoon, you'll notice, again, we've got some warmer temperatures. Now, one place that will not be quite as warm, and it's unfortunate for me because I have to walk around campus in it, is here into the Carolinas, from really Raleigh down through Charlotte, Greenville, Spartanburg, Atlanta. Unfortunately, a little bit of cold air damming happening today, just meaning all that cold air that we just recently had getting stuck up under the mountains. And as this precipitation is moving in, that cold air is not quite retreating in time. So high is only going to be in the 40s for us folks. But everywhere else, look at this orange and red taking over on the map. Much nicer, warmer temperatures here for many in the east. And by the time we get into our Wednesday afternoon, that cold air damming slowly breaks down a little bit. And everyone east of the Mississippi is well above average here. And that really should peak going into our Thursday afternoon here. Where you'll notice we've got temperatures 20 to 25 degrees above what they should be this time of year, again through much of the East Coast. More average temperatures out west, but definitely not cold by any means. So again, a big time warm up compared to what we were seeing. We had highs in the 20s and 30s through much of the Mid-South, just a couple days ago. Come Thursday, we could have highs in the 60s and 70s, maybe even 80s here, specifically into southern Georgia and coastal South Carolina. So again, a very nice warm pattern on the way. All right, now for all the winter weather fans, I know I've got plenty of them here on the channel. We will have another shot at a winter storm here going into this coming weekend. Now, our models have been hinting at the formation of low pressure here, kind of down through Arkansas and Oklahoma. Eventually, that rides through the Ohio River Valley, and we've got a storm just off the coast of the Northeast and quite a favorable track for some sort of winter storm, as well as high pressure to the north, trying to supply cold air to that storm system. Now, what are the chances this turns into any kind of snow for your area? Well, this map is going to show the chance of at least an inch of snowfall, depending on where you're at. And the key is at the bottom here, but just know kind of the, more reddish, brownish, pinkish colors, the higher chance, and the more kind of green and white and gray colors, the lower chance. Now, moving this ahead, this is going into our Sunday morning. Sunday morning. You'll notice chances slowly picking up a little bit in the Ohio River Valley. Not super high, but enough worth mentioning. But it's really Sunday afternoon that the chances for snow really increase here through much of the Northeast. You'll notice some of these numbers getting past 80% chance of at least an inch of snowfall through much of New York State, southern Vermont, southern New Hampshire, Massachusetts, into the northern half of Pennsylvania, as well as the higher terrains of West Virginia, and even down into North Carolina. where we could see some pretty good northwest flow out of this storm system as well. And those snow chances continue into our Monday, and as well as that northwest flow continuing even into next Monday and Tuesday before finally things clear on out here going into the long run. All right, so again, just to kind of summarize everything we talked about in this video, we've got some snow and ice today. We've got a lot of rain through this week, a flooding threat, a little bit of severe weather, and a big-time warm-up. All of that could be capped off by ending the week with some sort of northeast snowstorm. And we'll talk more about that as we get a little bit closer to the event here. But just know, I know this isn't quite as wintry of a week, but trust me, it's just as active with all sorts of different types of weather ongoing out there. Alrighty, well, I appreciate y'all watching. I appreciate you hanging in there with me. I hope you have a great rest of your Tuesday, and I'll see you all tomorrow.